guys, and welcome back to Runway from the Rav, a Project Runway podcast. I'm Riley.
And I'm Maggie.
And today we'll be discussing Season 15, Episode 5. And so this episode was our first team challenge, and it was the Mary Kay challenge, which is usually just themed around like entrepreneurial women, business women, and then a big emphasis on the makeup when it comes to the runway. So they were going to be split into two teams of 6 designers.
Yep.
And so the first person who got to pick a team was Rick, because he had immunity from last time when he won the swimsuit challenge. Mm-hmm. And then the other person was chosen from a button bag to pick the other team, and it turned out to be Brick.
Yep.
So we had Brick and Rick picking our teams. So Rick's team ended up becoming Team Unity, and that team chose Alex, Cornelius, Roberi, Majing, and Natalia. Mm-hmm. And then Brick's team became Team Button Bag, or later House of Bouton, which I must be French for button. And that was Brick, Tasha, Dexter, Aaron, Laurence, and Jenny.
Yep.
So 2 solid, strong teams, I thought. Mm-hmm. Sometimes on these challenges you get teams that, like, one really seems overweighted of winners or people in the top where it's like, okay. Or sometimes you get a lot of favoritism. And it seemed like a little bit on Team Unity side because I think Rick, Alex, Cornelius, and Roberi are all roommates. Mm-hmm. So they picked each other because they were like, we're friends, we're roommates. But also 3 of them were in the top last week. So I think it was strategic play as well. And then obviously on Team Button Bag, Dexter and Aaron and Laurence have all been in the top or won. Mm-hmm. So that was the premise, and then Tim comes out and says, your budget for mood is, we don't know yet, and the little twist of this episode was that they had to present their ideas, come together, I think they had 45 minutes, to draft up like a business plan in their designs, and then they had to present to 3 unknown investors to give money, and each investor they were told had $1,000 to split between, and there were 3 of them. Mm-hmm. And now it turned out the investors were the judges, Zach, Nina, and Heidi. Did you expect that?
No.
Neither. I thought it was going to be somebody else. I don't know who, but...
Yeah, maybe somebody like from a Mary Kay team or... I don't know.
Yeah, just somebody different. But it turned out, because they know fashion and because I'm sure they've all have had the option to like buy into a collection or something, it worked out fine, and they were at least familiar with the teams and the personalities. So the spokesperson for Team Unity was Alex, who he's slightly older, he's a teacher, he took business classes, and he's like, I've presented tons of times, I've presented to fashion companies, I'm comfortable doing this. And then for Team Button Bag, it ended up being Dexter, which he was like, people would, they look at me and they wouldn't expect it. He's like, but I've got a pretty solid business mind, and I think they both did well. Mm-hmm. I was surprised, like, they both presented well. Alex fully got to speak himself. Yep. I think his whole pitch was just him, talking about what their team had come up with. Team Button Bag, though, it was mostly Dexter, Aaron, and a little Jenny, like, trying to, like, kind of explain what they were doing, but it was mostly Dexter. Mm-hmm. And they both decided to kind of go for the same core market.
Yep.
Of, like, the working woman who makes maybe a little more money than the average. So maybe, like, a tech company kind of lady on the up-and-comer, but that they were both, like, fashion-conscious working women.
Yep.
And so, again, they had 6 designers, but they were only going to make a mini collection of 4 pieces. So some of them were going to have to be collaborations. Yep. So it ended up with the money, I didn't write this down, but I think Team Button Bag ended up with $800.
Yes. No.
I'm sorry, no. Team Unity ended up with $800, and Team Button Bag ended up with $2,200.
Yes. Yep.
So people, the investors just preferred the color usage in theirs, where they had pops of yellow, and it just felt a little fresher, whereas Team Unity, their palette, I think, was like gray and navy or black and navy. Yeah. And it turned out being very black and gray. So I think they just, and then a little more just like tuxedo pant and kind of suit styling. So Team Button Bag already way ahead. Yeah. Way more money. So they go to Mood, and obviously they have a lot more options for buying fabric than the Team Unity. They only had $800. We got a lot more workroom time in this episode, much more time dedicated to that than the runway. Because it's always fun with team challenges to see if there's going to be a little drama. I didn't think there was much this time.
Not too much drama. It seemed like Mahjong felt left out and like people weren't listening to him.
Yes.
But no. And I guess like on the second day, the day of the runway, we finally had that like scramble to the deadline. We finally had that happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole team of Team Buttonback, House of Bhutan, was scrambling at the last minute. Literally had 3 pieces left to make because they had to completely remake a piece on that second day. Yeah, Mahjong did seem a little alienated. I think he even said on the runway that he was like, I'm with 3 roommates and 2 best friends, and then there's me. But he didn't seem... Like, he seemed initially like, I'm worried they're not going to listen to me. And then he was like, well, they didn't listen to me a ton and I wanted to add more color. But then by the end, he seemed okay with it and he liked their pieces. And his piece, I think, was probably their most successful. It turned out, so they're kind of lucky they went with him. And it was denim, which is his strong suit. So maybe he relied back again on denim. There's always a denim designer. But otherwise, there wasn't a ton. Like, this, I think, was one of the first team challenges we've seen where there wasn't at least one person in the workroom crying or feeling, you know, there was a couple like talking heads of Mahjong being like, or Natalia being like, well, you know, I feel like we could do something different, but I like where our team's going. And everybody seemed really nice about it on both sides, both teams. And even when Team Buttonbag got some bad feedback from Tim of like, well, I don't know if this goes, they all worked together to come up with a solution. They didn't like leave one person stranded with a bad garment or anything. Now they did turn out a bad garment, but they seemed okay with it.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we get to the runway?
Yeah.
Because there wasn't a lot of drama.
No.
So, the runway, the first team to go down was Team Unity.
Yep.
And the first piece that went down was by Cornelius and Rick, collaboration piece. And it looked to me like a leather skirt. It's sometimes hard to tell materials. But it looked like a leather skirt with a gray shirt and then like this patterned jacket that had like greens and blues in it.
Yep.
And it was very tailored.
Yes.
For sure. I actually didn't mind this one. I thought it was fine.
No, yeah. I liked it too. Heidi, I think, said it was like just way too much going on, way too busy. But yeah. I didn't really get that read when it first walked down.
At least just watching it on the runway, obviously we don't get to see it up close. I thought it had just the right amount of pop of color for a subdued office. As somebody who's worked in multiple offices throughout my working career, that wouldn't feel out of place to me. No. You know, especially for me, I always wear dark colors. So to me, I was like, yeah, I would wear black and gray. Like, why not? So next up we had Mahjong, and he sent down black pants with like a gray wrap shirt. And I think it was like gray, like metallic denim. Yeah. And this was pretty cool. I liked the wrap detail. This was more successful than I expected. Yeah. But that's Mahjong, man. Like, he has like an off week and then he's right back on it. Because last week he made a red denim bathing suit. I think he was safe. Knowing that it was a denim bathing suit, I just had to be like, come on. Come on. So next up we had Natalia and Roberi, which seemed like an odd... I didn't realize that they collaborated on a piece until they came down the runway. And I was like, oh, okay. So Natalia made one of her infamous jackets. And then Roberi made some patterned pants and then a black top that was kind of asymmetrical, really long in the back. And then the front was kind of cut weird. I think Heidi called it the Flintstone shirt, or was that Nina?
I don't remember who said it.
It sounds more like a Nina comment.
It does.
Like this Fred Flintstone shirt, yeah. I didn't love this, but I'm also not big on these gigantic jackets. Like I feel like All Stars was like the season of jumpsuits, and I feel like this season is the season of gigantic coats and jackets. We haven't seen a runway yet that didn't have, maybe the swimsuit one, but they've all had like a big coat jacket.
You're right.
How'd you feel about this one? Because the judges didn't love it.
I didn't really think that much about it when it was going down the runway, but when they did the, like, looking at things up close and you could see the weird, like, cutout-ish thing on the, I don't know what you would call that.
On the shirt?
Yeah. Yes. Like, I didn't notice that, really, when it went down the runway, but that didn't make sense to me at all. Yeah, once they, like, kind of removed the jacket, you could see how weird the shirt was. The pants were fine. They were like a cigarette kind of pant. And then the jacket was okay, although it wasn't like a work jacket. To me, it looked like a outdoor jacket. Yeah.
Yeah, the top just threw me, but that's kind of Roberry's style, where it's just these kind of organic kind of things. It just didn't match the rest of the collection.
Right.
That was super structured and everything. So lastly, we had Alex, who had this gray metallic dress, and it was very ruched at the top. It didn't fit well in the back. It had like a weird kind of bump, and they noticed it in the workroom, but they're like, it's fine, it'll be fine. That one, I mean, I've seen dresses like that. I don't know that I've seen anybody really wear that to an office, but I guess if you were in a big city and you were going to have like a nighttime event, like working women, sometimes you have events at night or things like that, so I could see somebody who would wear the other outfits wearing that.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like it didn't fit to the collection to me.
No, I agree. And I don't know. I just didn't like it. It was just a basic dress. Like, the silhouette was just nothing new.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Just because it was so simple and such a common silhouette, like, it should have been done better.
Yeah, the execution was not great, especially considering that they had 6 people who could have worked on it, and the fact that it was Alex's main piece, and he's obviously been doing this a long time, that it's like, you know, out of 6 people, none of you could have resewn the back or worked something else out there. So I agree, it wasn't super inspired. How did you feel about Team Unity's collection overall?
I don't know. I didn't have strong feelings about it, but, like, I liked it. I didn't think it was bad.
Yeah, I didn't dislike it. It was more in my palette, my color palette. And it felt a little somber, but, you know, sometimes on a Monday morning, that's what you want to wear. You know, or like on a rainy day, you know. So I was like, in some business worlds, it's always black or navy. Like, that's what you wear. You know, especially if it's like in a law office or something like that that's really straight-laced. Like, you wear those kind of bold power colors. So I didn't dislike it at all. It was, you know, very tailored, and, you know, there was just a couple pieces, like the shirt and the dress, that I was like, it didn't quite match what they were pitching for to me, and I think the judges brought that up too.
Yeah.
Where it didn't wow me. I expected to be wowed, if nothing else than by like perfect tailoring, and it just wasn't.
Yep. So
next we had House of Bhutan. And the first piece out was Dexter's, and he had made a denim again, a denim suit, black denim suit with cropped pants.
Yep.
And then it had like this little intricate kind of beaded detail on the cuffs and on the jacket and the pants. What did you think about this one?
I liked it. I felt like this, of all the pieces in the collection, I feel like this one was the odd one out.
I agree.
Didn't really see how it connected other than the embellishments, but I personally didn't like the embellishments that much. But I don't know. I'm not a bedazzle kind of person.
They felt very bedazzled. Some of Erin's work, because it was Erin who added the embellishments, it feels very natural and organic to the garment, but then there's a few times, like when she made the convertible dress that had the little snap belt, and she put the like glitter, like whatever on there, I was like, that does not fit, it doesn't go. And then this time again, I was like, you made a really cool, like, simple suit, but with a little twist that it was kind of a low V cut on the jacket, and then the cropped pant paired with these really high stilettos. I was like, this looks cool. And at first I didn't know what the rest of the collection was going to look like, so I was like, oh, cool, suits, that's cool, you know, kind of a fresh take on a woman's suit. And then the weird bedazzling that the judges loved, but I was just like, that looks tacked on in the last 5 minutes, and it just didn't. Who would buy a suit with like 3 inches of like blue glitter around the side? I don't know.
Right, and they were like, that was a great idea. That really elevated it, but
I thought it cheapened it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, like your grandma took your bedazzler to like your interview suit, and you're like, Grandma, no.
What do we know?
What do we know? We don't know fashion. So next up, Jenny and Brick, and I felt bad for them on this because they originally had a piece that was like a skirt and a top, and it was like a pleated white skirt with like a mauve top, and then like they were going to pair it with like a yellow jacket or something. They ended up scrapping all of that, and they ended up making this mauve dress. There was nothing to it. It was super short. It was mauve, they said, but on TV it looked beige.
Yeah.
It did not look mauve at all, or if it was very, very light. It looked like beige. Yeah. And then there was a triangle up at the top of the neckline of fur, it looked like.
Well, what'd they call that? mohair.
Mohair, yeah.
I don't know if that was the word, but
something like that. Yeah, so there was some type of like different textile in like a big triangle right over her like chest and up to the neck. But it was super short. There was nothing to it.
Right.
And for this to come out after that really sharp, cool, tailored suit, I was just like, what is this? And it was so short. Mm-hmm. I could not see that in an office.
Dexter should have spoken up on that one. 'Cause he said, I think it was just like a little confession thing. He was like, oh, they should keep that long.
Yeah.
But I don't want to like go against their vision and, you know, I trust the team.
Yeah, he made it sound like he turned around and they were already cutting it, and then he was like, well, I'll trust them, but not a choice he would have made. And that's just because I feel in most offices there's a like hem length requirement, just like there was in high school for most women, even if it's not written down, that they just are like, this is what I feel comfortable with, because it seemed very short.
Well, and they did it, I think, to just like try and appeal to Heidi. But whenever you do that, whenever you try and make the judges happy, it's not good. You gotta follow your own vision.
Right, yeah, otherwise, yeah, you're like taking your vision and tossing it out the door, so. And then, yeah, who would wear that suit and that dress to the same place? Because this is not a day-to-night transformation. This was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you know?
Yeah.
Or that's how I was imagining it. So next up, we had Laurence and Tasha. Mm-hmm. And Laurence made this super awesome black leather jacket, kind of like bomber style. And then they paired it with this bright yellow skirt. Mm-hmm. How'd you feel?
I loved the jacket. Mm-hmm. That was really impressive for just a day's work.
Yeah.
Not even, just a couple hours. And I mean, I like the skirt that Tasha made. It was really simple.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't feel like there was that much to it, but it looked nice together. It was sharp, and that went better with the suit than the dress did. Yeah,
I agree. Having that nice tailored leather jacket. And I think because they had such a big budget, over $2,000, that Laurence was finally able to get a textile she really wanted. Mm-hmm. Because she said she works with leather a lot, and I think she's wanted to make a nice leather jacket previously in the competition, but they usually get like $200 or something, and there's just not enough to make a whole garment plus that nice leather for the jacket. So I think, I don't know if it was real leather or pleather, but I think she was finally able to get like some really good material, and it showed. Like, it looked really nice.
Yeah.
I liked it. I'm not big on a black-yellow pairing. I think Heidi or Nina said, like, it's a little bumblebee, but in this collection, I think it worked. And the pairing of, like, this super fun, loud skirt with, like, this more, like, refined jacket was cool. And I will always like a leather jacket.
Yeah.
And this one was just really cool. Mm-hmm. So then lastly, we had Erin, who put down an oversized yellow and mauve jacket had her custom bead detail. I feel like she's put this jacket down before. I think the first challenge she made a jacket that looked identical. And maybe even it was not the first challenge. One of the challenges she made a jacket that felt similar. Mm-hmm. And she's done yellow before. Yeah. And then that was paired over just these kind of simple black pants and a white shirt. Mm-hmm. How'd you feel about this one?
It was fine. It's not my personal style. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, it looked good on the runway. Erin's I still really like her. But she's just starting to feel a little one note. Like, same old bag of tricks. Like, you know, she keeps pulling out the embellishments. She keeps using yellow. She keeps making these giant coats or, like, bigger silhouettes. Yeah. I don't know.
That are very similar.
Yeah.
Like, they're not, you know, and they're not quite boxy, but they're just these oversized silhouettes, but it felt very similar to the convertible dress that she made. Mm-hmm. For the transition shot, like, it was not my favorite. I'm also not a huge fan of yellow, and I feel like she used yellow so well in the first challenge, the unconventional challenge, but then she has admitted it's her favorite color. If you look at her, like, picture for Project Runway, she's wearing yellow. If you look at her portfolio, a lot of her stuff is yellow. So it's kind of like her iconic signature look, which is fine, but I don't know. It just feels like in this competition, you're only going to get to make, 16 garment, potential. So maybe she will get to the top and she'll make a whole collection of yellow things. But to me, it definitely felt very Erin, which is probably good on a team challenge. You'd be like, this is totally me. It feels like me. Everybody else's things seemed like a collaboration, but that I was like, well, that's Erin for sure.
Yeah.
And the judges love it. They still love her big jackets and stuff. So, it it was decided that from the winning team... Oh, I'm sorry. What do you think of Team Button Bag overall? Let's go there first.
I liked it, but I honestly did not think they had the win.
Okay, yeah.
Like, when it came down, I didn't really, until they really talked about it and, like, critiqued things, I didn't really see it as being super cohesive.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. I felt its weaker pieces were weaker. So, like, with Team Unity, I didn't really like Alex's great dress, but I didn't hate it. I could see people buying and wearing it. I didn't really like Roberi and Natalia's, like, black shirt. Mm-hmm. But I could see, like, okay, it's kind of his style. It's unique. But with Team Button Bag, or House of Bhutan... The Jenny Brick mauve dress was a complete fail for me.
Yeah.
And then what was under Erin's jacket seemed very uninspired. It was just a white shirt and black pants. Like, then they didn't talk about it at all. It was all about the jacket. So then, like, that just seemed like that's not normal Project Runway. Usually they'd be like, okay, so you got this thing, but what's underneath it?
Right.
And then Dexter's suit was cool, but the embellishments, and then it was just a suit. Like, he didn't really, like, the cropped pants and stuff, but it wasn't, like, big elevated. There was no yellow there. And then, yeah, the yellow skirt with the jacket. The leather jacket was cool, but the yellow skirt, there just wasn't a whole lot. So, yeah, to me, it was just like, okay, so 2 pieces are yellow and 2 pieces are mauve, and then you have a suit. So, I agree. I was surprised, but I wasn't super impressed. And because of the scramble and the tension the show tried to make, that I was like, oh, yeah, they're definitely going to be on the bottom. But it turned out Team Bhutan... were on the top. They were the winner this time around, and it was decided that the winning team would have one big winner who would have immunity next week, and then the losing team would have one person who went home.
Yep.
So we always start with the winner. So Team Button Bag, they all stood up there. The judges got to look at the looks, and then everybody had to go down the line and do that awkward thing of say who you think should win. It's not quite as bad as saying who you think should go home, but saying who you think should win. And I think 2 people said Erin, 2 people said Dexter, and then somebody I think said Laurence.
Yeah.
Or maybe 2 for Laurence.
Yeah. It seemed like more for Laurence.
Yeah, I think it was Laurence, Dexter, and then like Dexter voted for Erin, I think. So it turned out Dexter was the winner. And do you agree with that?
I do. There were lots of shots of him, like, going around trying to help everybody in any way that he could. And, like, he did the pitch, like, he kind of led that. Yep. And, I don't know, his piece was nice. He just did a good job overall, and his leadership was good, I thought.
Yeah. Well, and I think usually with these team challenges, like, the team leader is usually the one, like, if your team is successful or fails, it's kind of your responsibility and kind of on your shoulders either way, for better or for worse. So I agreed with him winning for the team. I think while Laurence made a really cool jacket, she didn't, and probably helped other people, she wasn't, like, leading the way. And same thing with Erin, so she made one, cool thing and maybe helped out with embellishments. But Dexter really seemed, at least in the shots we saw, that he was, like, talking to everybody, trying to get them focused on the idea, led the pitch and everything, so I agreed with that. And then we have Team Unity, and they lost this week, which I thought was a bit of a surprise. And then they all had to stand up there and say who they think should go home, and this shocked me a little bit. This, I think, was the very first team challenge I've ever seen on Project Runway where everybody but one person, I think, said that they themselves should go home.
There was no, like, blaming, like,
no,
this person didn't do this, I did there was none of that.
Yeah. Now, there was a lot of crying, but, so Alex went first, and he said, I'm the team leader, you don't like my garment, I should go home. Then Rick, who has immunity, so he can't go home, also said Alex, and I think Alex was okay with that. Natalia, Roberi, and Cornelius all said, if you don't like my piece, I should go home, which shocked me with Cornelius particular. Yeah. I think if he'd gone first, he would have said Manjing or Alex, but considering that he went after Roberi and Natalia, I think he felt more inclined to say. But that's just because in previous episodes, he has not won any favors with me. He's never impressed me in terms of his moral compass by constantly throwing shade and creating drama. So I was a little surprised when he said himself, but after all, and they were all crying, it was just really like, this team worked really well together. And obviously you can only have one winner, but I was just like, I felt like their collection was more cohesive. So the fact that I didn't agree with the judges made it that much harder to look at this team and be like, oh my gosh, even like these 20-some-year-old kids are like, send me, you know. And then Ma Jing, because they liked his piece, I think, the best, he also said Alex.
Yeah.
And then it turned out that it was Alex who was sent home. It was between him and Roberry as kind of the thought leaders of the collection. It turned out being Alex. Did you agree with that?
I guess so for this challenge. And so far, Alex hasn't made anything super awesome. Like, there was that one shirt with the big oversized bow, right? Which I really liked that.
You liked his swimsuit, too, last week. The cover-up, didn't you? The white and blue, like, big dress thing.
Oh, was that him?
That was him.
Okay, I take it back.
Yeah, he was in the top last week. Yeah, I thought he would, like, be a big front runner at the beginning of the show when he said, I'm a teacher and I've been doing this a long time. But yeah, he's just always kind of, I think he's been on the top twice and then, like, on the bottom. And he's just kind of, like, skated through. But I really liked his personality. I always like that slightly older person in the room who just kind of, like, is mature and kind of over all the, like, pettiness. And is just, like, you know, work together, guys. Be good to each other. You know, keep the room clean. Things like that. So I was sad to see him go. Just because, like, I agree it should have been him just because his piece was weaker and he took the team leadership role very seriously. Right. So it's like, you know, his team, and it did sound like he had come up with the color scheme, which I think is the biggest thing the judges didn't like, is that they're like, no, women can go to the office and wear colorful clothes. And that's true, they can.
Yeah.
But I'm still sad to see him go. I liked Alex, and I wanted to see more from him, and I wanted to kind of see how these teams are next episode. Right. You know, now that they've been through this and either won or lost or had their little quibbles and how they are next week. Tim seemed very broken up about it when he came into the room. I think it shocked me when all of Team Unity was so unified. It's a horrible team name. It's so cliche. But they were all, like, throwing themselves on the sword, not wanting to throw anybody else under the bus. This is the first. Normally, Project Runway, everybody's like, oh, Maggie's out. And then Maggie goes, no, I don't know. You know, they always just throw one person that they don't like or who really made a failed garment no one else helped with is out.
Did you think that Tim was going to use his save on Alex?
I did, but then I remembered in classic Project Runway style, you never see the save revealed till the next episode.
Right.
So I think there's like a 50, obviously there's always a 50-50 chance, but I think there's slightly bigger than a 50-50 chance he'll bring Alex back. With Alex's little speech there about how he helped him, and it is just far enough into the competition now that we've seen a couple things from Alex. I think there's a decent chance that at the beginning of their episode next week when they're all in the workroom, Tim might be like, I'm bringing him back. Because he's brought back people earlier before. Usually it's not till right at the end. But I think there's a decent chance. But usually, because in classic TV style, first they got to send him to the workroom, let him say his goodbye and all that. I don't think he's ever saved anybody just like right there.
Right. I don't think so.
Because I think he talks it over with Heidi and the producers and everything. But do you want him to be saved? Or do you think that save should wait? Save the save.
I don't know. It's still early.
It is. Only the 5th episode.
And his dress, it just wasn't that great this week.
But it wasn't a complete train wreck.
No, it wasn't a flop or anything.
It probably, if all these were just lined up on their own, I think the mauve dress would have gone home over this.
Yeah. I agree.
And on that team, I think they probably would have sent Jenny home. She was the last chosen. It was her dress. I think it would have been between Jenny and Brick of like who they would.
Brick.
Yeah, I think it would have been one of those two if that team was on the bottom. But anyway, Alex.
I don't know. I think I'd say save because it's too early.
Save the save.
Yeah, save the save. What do you think?
I'm torn because I like his personality, but like you said, and I didn't really like his swimsuit and cover-up. It wasn't my favorite. It was okay, but I liked Rick's better. And then I don't like a big bow on your shirt. So he hasn't made anything that wowed me, which is unfortunate because I like his personality. So I agree, maybe save it. I don't know who for. I think the only other people they'd use it for is like a Dexter and Aaron who's like at the beginning been doing well and then just kind of has a fail. But we'll see. So next week, the challenge...
I cannot remember.
I don't remember it either now that I brought it up.
There was something with cocktails.
Oh, that's right. They had like a little cocktail party, and then they're like, and it starts your new challenge, but they didn't quite say what it was. They also didn't show Alex or anything like that for a teaser, but a lot of people like frantically running around in classic Project Runway style. Mm-hmm. So do you have any closing thoughts for this episode?
I do not. Heidi's outfit was better.
Oh, yeah, we forgot to mention last week that green outfit she had. We wanted to bring it up, but we forgot. That was awful. And that swimsuit's on her website now. It's quite expensive, but it is custom design, I guess. Mm-hmm. And there's a picture of her standing next to the model and Rick in this green leather, like, jacket, skirt, and, like, knee-high boot combo. Green, like Kelly green. It's
really bad.
Yeah. This week she just had kind of, like, a simple, like, dress, and it was fine. It was fine.
It was better, yeah.
Yeah. Just kind of a normal thing, but, yeah, we needed to bring that up.
Yep.
Okay. Right. So, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at RavRunway, and we'll see you guys next week.